Hi, I'm Kristin Omdahl and welcome back to my studio. In this video, I'm going to show you some tips and tricks for how to make another project from my newest crochet book, Layers. This is the Violeta trapeze tank top. Worked from the top down, then joined in the round under the arms, Violeta is a versatile piece that can be worn year-round. Worn belted or straight over a tank top or a long sleeve shirt, even a dress, Violeta is sure to become your go-to layering piece. The open pattern is simply stunning. For this project, you'll need 2 or 3 balls of Be So Lush yarn, which is my #1 fingering weight, organic cotton and bamboo blend yarn. You'll need different amounts depending on which size you're making for this project. It comes in sizes 34, 38, 42, 46, and 50-inch bust. You'll also need a G6 4mm crochet hook, yarn needle, and scissors. When you start reading over your pattern, you're going to see information about what type of materials you'll need, what sizes the pattern comes in, and a schematic so you can decide which size you want to make. Once you know what size you want to make, you'll refer back to the number of balls you'll need to make that size. Next, you'll want to do a gauge swatch to make sure that your project is going to turn out the right size. And check out the stitch guide. If you're not familiar with any of these stitches, please follow the link in the video description to my crochet stitch library of videos where you can get a refresher on all of these before you begin. Then we have the written instructions for all of the sizes, and you'll just need to pay attention to which size you're making. Sometimes it's helpful to highlight the set of numbers for the size you're making. So for example, that would be small, medium, large, XL, and XX. So let's say you're making the medium, I would highlight that second number throughout the pattern to help keep you on track. We also have several charts as well as the written instructions for this project, and you'll see that we have an upper back chart, an upper front body, and then the lower body chart. And notice that each one has a key so that you can understand what each of the symbols mean. The charts are in a reduced size. They aren't going to reflect every size in the pattern, but you will see the stitches that are used and the shaping that is done. So you'll still need to refer back to the written instructions to know how many times you do everything you see on the chart. Follow the links in the video description to download the pattern or order an autographed copy of my newest crochet book, Layers, and get information on ordering the yarn and other materials we use in this project. Let's get started. So we start with the upper back, and we start with a row of foundation ovals, and let me show you what that looks like with our yarn. The foundation oval is chain 4, and then working into the 4th chain from your hook, not the loop on your hook, that's your working yarn. We're going to count back 1, 2, 3, 4, and work a double crochet. Double crochet is yarn over your hook, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. And this is what a row of foundation ovals should look like, and that's what we did for our setup row. I'll refer back to the chart to show you what it looks like in the chart. Then row 1 begins with a chain 6, which counts as a double crochet chain 3, then double crochet in the next foundation oval, and we're going to repeat that across. Chain 3, double crochet in the next foundation oval. Let me show you what that looks like with the yarn. So when we do a chain 6 to count as a double crochet chain 3, it's the first 3 chains that count as the double crochet, and then the next 3 chains that will count as the chain 3 space. Now working into the foundation oval, so we're going to work into that large space of the oval, we're going to double crochet, yarn over, insert your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops on your hook. Now the repeat for this row is chain 3 and double crochet in the next foundation oval. And so for the rest of the row, you want to repeat chain 3, double crochet in the next foundation oval. And this is what the end of row 1 should look like. We'll now come back to the chart so I can show you rows 2, 4, and 6 now are going to be to chain 3, which counts as a double crochet, and work 4 double crochets in the next chain 3 space. Our repeat for the rest of the row is to work 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space, and then at the end of the row we'll work a double crochet into the last stitch, which is going to be the top third chain of the chain 6. And I'll show you that when we get there. So we'll pick up our yarn now and chain 3, which counts as our first double crochet. Turn our work, and in the chain 3 space we're going to work 4 double crochets. And in each chain 3 space across, we'll work 4 double crochets. Okay, so at the end of our last repeat, we did 4 double crochets in the chain 3 space. And remember, we had a chain 6 at the beginning of that previous row. So it was the first 3 chains counted as the double crochet, and the next 3 chains counted as the chain 3 space. So now we want to look for the first 3 chains to work our last double crochet for row 2. And this is what the end of row 2 should look like. Rows 3, 5, and 7 are all going to be identical. We're going to chain 6, which counts as a double crochet chain 3, skip the next 4 stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next stitch. Then repeat chain 3, skip 4 stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next stitch. And we're going to repeat that all the way across. So I'll show you what that looks like with our yarn now. So basically you can see we have those sections of 4 double crochets. We're going to be working those stitches into that space between those sections. So we'll start with a chain 6, which counts as a double crochet chain 3. Turn our work and double crochet in that space between the 4 double crochet sections. Chain 3, skip the next section of stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next section of stitches. And we're going to repeat this all the way across. For rows 4 through 8, we repeated rows 2 and 3 2 more times, then row 2 once more, and now we'll go back to the chart to show you that row 9, 11, and 13 are going to be this slightly modified version of row 3, because now we're going to be increasing on each side of the row. So we're going to start with a chain 6 that counts as a double crochet chain 3, but then we're going to double crochet again into that first stitch, and then we'll go on to the established pattern of row 3 of chain 3, skip 4 stitches, double crochet in the next, all the way across the row, and then not double crochet in the space before the next stitch. So chain 3, skip 4, double crochet in the space before the next stitch. Repeat that across the row to the end of the row, then double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet all into that last stitch. So let me show you what that looks like with the yarn now. Chain 6, which counts as our double crochet chain 3. Turn our work and double crochet into that first stitch. So we're creating an extra chain 3 space here. And we're going to do that again at the opposite end of the row, but first we will chain 3, skip the next 4 stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next stitch. And that's our repeat. Chain 3, skip 4 stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next stitch. And you repeat that all the way across the row, and then I'll show you how to do the second increase on this row. Come to the end of row 9, chain 3, skip 4 stitches. In that last stitch, we're going to double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet a second time into that same stitch. And this is what the end of row 9 should look like. So now we're going to refer back to our chart, and although we increase on rows 9, 11, and 13, rows 10, 12, and 14 are actually a repeat of row 2, where we're going to chain 3 that counts as a double crochet, work 4 double crochets in the chain 3 space across the entire row, and then double crochet in the last stitch. So now you have everything you need to do to finish the upper back. Once you've completed the back upper body, you actually have all of the tools you need to make the front upper body. We did increases at the beginning and at the end of the row, and that's what's going to be really important to remember when we're making the front upper body. First, we start the beginning of the front upper body, right and left sides, by working into the opposite end of the foundation ovals from the upper back. I did the first side already, and I'm going to show you now how to add the second side. But the next thing to pay attention to here is when you're doing the increases at the neck edge, they're going to be on the opposite side of the row depending on whether you're working the right or left front. So it's really important to pay attention to this. It's all stuff you learned how to do in the upper body for the back, but you're doing it only on one side, not on both sides like we did on the back. So when you're doing the neck shaping, pay attention to that, and then the rest of it is ultimately what we did for the upper back. So we're going to start by joining our yarn to the opposite end of the foundation ovals to start. Okay, so we're going to slip stitch into the specified foundation oval. Depending on what size you're making, that will be different for each size. And we're going to chain 6, which counts the double crochet chain 3 and double crochet in the next foundation oval. And chain 3, double crochet in the next foundation oval, and repeat that all the way across row 1. And that's what the end of row 1 should look like. Remember, I'm doing a smaller sized version. Depending on what size you make, yours will look a lot bigger than this, but ultimately this is what you'll be doing. Row 2 is same as row 2 was for the back, and that's chain 3 that counts as a double crochet. Turn your work, work 4 double crochets in the next chain 3 space, and in each chain 3 space across, and double crochet in the last double crochet. This is what the end of row 2 should look like. Row 3 is just like we did row 3 on the back. It's a chain 6, turn your work, skip the next 4 stitches and double crochet in the space before the next stitch, and repeat this all the way across. That's what the end of row 3 should look like. And then for rows 4, 5, and 6, you want to repeat rows 2 and 3 one more time, and then row 2 one more time. Okay, row 7 is the tricky row. This is the one that I was talking about, where on row 7, we're only doing increases at the neck edge, not at both the sides and the neck edge, which means that you have to do it on a different side of the row depending on whether you're doing the right or left front. So when we did this side, we did the increase at the end of the row. But now that we're doing this side of the front, we're going to do the increase at the beginning of the row. We used to do these at the same time on the back, but now we're only doing them at the inside edge or the neck edge. So now to start row 7, we're going to chain 6 and double crochet in the first stitch. So I'll show you what that looks like. Again, you've already done this on the back. We're just splitting it out and only doing it on one side. And that can get really confusing if you don't set your work down and pay attention to which side of the front you're on, whether you're on the neck edge or the outside edge. So to do the increase at the beginning of the row, it's chain 6 that counts as a double crochet, and double crochet in that same first stitch, chain 3, skip the next 4 stitches and double crochet in the space before the next stitch, and we repeat that across the row. Chain 3, skip 4, double crochet in the space before the next stitch, and then chain 3 and double crochet in the last stitch to complete row 7. And then row 8 is a repeat of row 2. chain 3, turn your work, and 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space across and double crochet in the last stitch. So that's what the end of row 8 should look like. On row 9, we're going back to doing our regular increase, which means we're increasing at the beginning and end of the row. This is the easy one. You don't have to figure out which side is which. We're going to do the increase on both ends of the row. So that starts with the chain 6. Counts as a double crochet, chain 3, and double crochet in the first stitch. Then across the row we will chain 3, skip 4 stitches, and double crochet in the space before the next stitch. Repeat this all the way across, and then do our end of row increase. Which is double crochet, chain 3, double crochet in the last stitch. And that's what the end of row 9 should look like. Okay, so on row, we're not doing all the rows for the reduced size sample. I'm doing it smaller because you're going to get the gist of it either way. So the next row that actually changes is row 12 on here, but we're going to do it here anyway. What we're going to do is we're repeating a row 2, which is chain 3 and then 4 double crochets in each chain 3 across. Then we're doing a foundation oval to then join both sides of the front. So we're going to work 4 double crochets in each of these chain 3 spaces across, then do a foundation oval and continue on in the row with 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space across, and that's how we will join the left and right front together. So we'll start with a chain 3 and turn our work. 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space across. Okay, as we come to the end of the first half of the front, we'll work our double crochet in the last stitch. Then work our foundation oval. Depending on what size you're making of the pattern, you may have to do a different number of foundation ovals. But we're doing 1 for the sample, chain 4, and double crochet in the 4th chain from your hook. And then we're going to pick up the second half of the front and work a double crochet in the first stitch. Then work 4 double crochets in each chain 3 space across, and then work a double crochet in the last stitch. And double crochet in the last stitch. And this is what the end of our row looks like, where we join both halves of the front together. It's starting to look like a top. For the next row of the front, it's going to be the exact same as a row 3, starting with a chain 6, which counts as a double crochet, chain 3, and then skipping 4 stitches, double crochet in the next stitch, working our way across the first half of the front. Then we'll chain 3, double crochet in the foundation oval, chain 3, and work in our established row 3 across. So I'll show you what it looks like when we get to that center section. Okay, so we've come to the center of the row. We'll chain 3, and then double crochet into the foundation oval, chain 3, then double crochet in the first stitch, chain 3, skip the next 4 stitches and double crochet in the space before the next stitch, and repeat this all the way across, and on the last repeat, double crochet in the last stitch. And this is what it should look like at the end of that row. Front and the back together, we no longer are going to have a row that needs an extra stitch at the beginning of at beginning and end of the row. We're working in the round. So instead of doing a chain 3 to count as our first double crochet, we're going to slip stitch into our first chain 3 space and work chain 3, which counts as our double crochet, and 3 more stitches in that chain 3 space, which is going to count as 4 double crochets in that chain 3 space. And now you want to repeat that all the way across. Whether you start at the back or start at the front, it doesn't matter. I happen to be starting at the back right now, but you could be starting at the front, and I'm pretty sure the pattern calls for starting at the front, but how we do this is going to be the same no matter what. Okay, now we're going to join the front and back together the same way we joined both halves of the front. We're at the end of the row, we're going to chain 4 and double crochet, which counts into the 4th chain from our hook, which counts as a foundation oval, and then picking up the opposite end, we're going to work 4 double crochets into each stitch across the other side. So if you were started in the front, you'd be now working in the back, and if you started in the back, you'd now be working in the front. And we're taking that front and back, working the same row, joining them with a foundation oval between them to give us an underarm shape, and doing that on both sides. And then we'll join it together into a round, and the rest of the top will be worked in rounds instead of rows. We're almost ready to join. We're going to do our second underarm stitch, which is a foundation oval, chain 4, double crochet in the 4th chain from your hook, and this gives us a little bit of underarm spacing before we come back to the opposite end and slip stitch to join in the chain 3 at the beginning of the round, which counted as a double crochet. And now when I set the work down, you're going to see how we transformed this 2-dimensional piece now into a 3-dimensional yoke for our sweater. So now we have the right and left front joined together, attached to the back. We have our arm openings, we have our underarm stitches, and now what we'll be doing is working in the round for the remainder of the project, and you can follow along with the written instructions or the chart for doing so. Super easy, and the increases are done within the pattern, so it gives you that beautiful trapeze shape. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions for me, please leave them for me in the comments. And remember, there's links to everything about this project in the video description. Where to download the pattern, how to order an autographed copy of the book, how to get the yarn, and also entire links of playlists for all of the videos from Layers, as well as links to all of my other videos here on YouTube. Let us make time to create, share, and inspire today and every day. I'll see you in the next video.